Welcome to episode 88 of Star Wars and Scotch, and it is also the conclusion of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh,
There's many,
oh,
there's many feelings to discuss today, and many
so
things
many.
that we're going to address. But before Tim and I do anything, by the way, I'm Kevin, he's Tim.
Hey,
Uh,
hi.
we want to make sure that you have ordered your Summer Swells Nitro Cold Brew, which is available right now at kingscoastcoffee.com. Now, we know you're still working through that darkness, and some of you got access to the GCX one that Tim just showed.
It's very yummy.
But there's plenty of you that did not have either of those. So go get that Summer Swells. It is on sale now.
Yeah, it's hot as balls right now. It's like being on the surface of Tatooine. So go get some Nitro Cold Brew and get into the summer swells.
Yeah, we're in that weather where people come to Florida and they say, "How do you live like this?" I'm like, it's not like this all the time, I promise.
Yeah, it's just like when when we go up north and it's cold, like, how do you guys do this? I'm like, nah, it's nothing. It's adaptation's a crazy thing.
Forget about it. He's going to be doing a lot of Italian American accent because he got out of the shower and his hair's all slicked. So
yeah, I slicked it back today, so it's gotta get some gabagools and things later,
Dawn Darkness over here.
Anywho.
So go over and get that Summer Swells Cold Brew, kingscoastcoffee.com. Yeah, we're not promoting GCX. That is weird.
Right? It's really weird.
It's really weird. It is very weird. But this episode, I'm gonna start off with the first thing that I've been wanting to say since I finished the episode, and it was Liam Neeson, you damn liar, you damn liar.
Oh, dude, when that little Force Ghost showed up, I was just yes, just screamed yes. Hands went up in the air. That was so good. I was so happy about the reveal. We knew it. We knew he was there the whole time. It's just Obi-Wan just didn't know it.
Yeah, and they couldn't not have him. So he definitely, man, you really got to look out for that now. These actors are lying to keep secrets. I actually love it. It's great.
But now anytime someone denies it, I just assume they're in it. So now they have to say that they're in it for them to actually deny that they're not in it.
Oh,
it's gonna be really confusing.
Yeah, your expectations are gonna get shattered a few times with that. So that sucks. Well, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, this episode had everything Tim and I said we needed to end the episode and the series.
Yeah, I mean,
literally.
It literally covered everything. And it has set my expectations for more shows in the future.
It covered Owen's limp, Tim.
I know. I love that when he fell and he held onto his leg. I was like, well, that makes sense.
When that all started, I was like, oh, this is how Owen's gonna get his limp from Reva.
But it explains so much as to why Owen was so protective of Luke. And it's just like he always felt like the crabby, just grumpy uncle, like the step uncle that or the stepdad. He was a very stepdad figure in episode 4. But just in those few moments, it really showed how much he loves him and how much he's like, no, that's my son. It just explains so much. And I tweeted about it and we'll talk about it, in more depth, but this makes episode 4 for me far more emotional than I ever thought it could be, all because of how this has set it all up. And we talked about it last week that I saw a cool little breakdown of different scenes from episode 4. And it makes sense. Like Obi-Wan knew that the twins were safe. And so that last scene on the Death Star when Ben sacrifices himself to Vader, that scene is so impactful now. He's made sure Leia was safe, took her back to Bail, made sure Luke was safe. He's with Owen, but now they're growing up and it's time to fight the Empire and fight back. So when he saw that they were together, he knew that his job was done. And so that full circle coming all the way around and having that closure now is just so impactful.
Yeah,
I love it.
And even it solidifies Luke knowing who Ben is.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, old Ben Kenobi, the hermit who lives in the Dune Sea. Now that makes a lot of sense because he has met him.
Did you also love the hello there?
Hello there.
Because I definitely did the Leonardo DiCaprio thing. I was like, he said the thing.
Yeah, no, it set that up. It set up the Leia stuff perfectly. So, she knew why he would be the one she would call on. Because he said, if you ever need me again, just you know where I am. I'm obsessed with Bale as a dad. I don't know.
Right? I really like his character.
He just has the best dad vibes. The way he talks to her and looks at her, and you could tell he's just like smitten with her, as we
I
all are at this point.
as a dad to a little guy who is becoming a little Star Wars fan. I really want Leia to have her own like kid show. I want like the tales of Princess Organa as like a kid, because she is just so much fun. I really didn't think that I needed her in this whole storytelling universe that is on Disney Plus, but
Yeah.
she's fantastic. She really captures Leia's spirit, but she's so cute. I really like her.
There was one point where when he pulled Lola out where I was curious if somehow Lola would get broken and that would lead to like Lola becoming a part in C-3PO or so. Like I don't know, like something like repairing one of the droids and they would use Lola's guts. I don't know, but then Lola went back to Leia, so I was like, all right.
I love that she put that in her holster though. I thought that was so cute.
Oh my god, I did not realize that was her mom's holster in the last episode.
Wait. That's Tala's holster.
I thought that was he said that was her mom's holster.
That was it was Tala's holster.
Oh, I thought it
because
was
that was
holster.
because it had the markings, and he said that Roken found it before they left.
Okay, I missed that. All right.
Yeah, so that was Tala's, and it had all of the stormtrooper marks on it for everyone that she killed.
That's what that inlay was. Okay, now that makes way more sense.
But now I want to go back and look and see if that holster shows up anywhere else in the original trilogy of like that holster was what she had when she was on Hoth. I don't know. Now I want to go back and look and see what Carrie Fisher was wearing. Because if she has a leather holster, then it's like, there's a fun little connect.
She has it in Return of the Jedi when they're on Endor.
There is a holster in Return of the Jedi, but I don't know if it's the same. Yeah, okay. So it's got to be a brown one. So
yeah. So I don't know. I googled Leia holster and I'm looking now.
Yeah, okay. I guess we've got to start from the beginning, huh?
Whatever. We never do.
But the opening scene was just so emotional for me. The whole like, I don't know why, but every time that Ben and Leia have a heart-to-heart, it just hits me right in the heartstrings. And I think it's just because it's just like the whole, just like, it feels like a dad to daughter experience. But that whole, like, it felt like he was just breaking her heart. The whole, like, I have to go. And she had this inclination that he wasn't coming back. And so like that right there was just so impactful. And again, when he meets back up with her at the end and he has this heart-to-heart and tells her about the characteristics of her mother and of her father, I'm just crying. I'm just like, this is so much. I just like that. All of those scenes, anytime that they have been together through the entirety of the series, I have just fallen in love with it more and more and more. And I didn't really realize that I needed like dad Obi-Wan.
He's that uncle or grandpa figure that, they're never going to have outside of him. So it's important, especially for Leia, I think, because it really bridges the gap with Leia's character. And, we've spent the last decade or so really adding to Leia's story and making it more part of the saga. And that's important because she is such a major figure. And, if you just look at the original trilogy, there's like that hint that she might have the Force or that she can use the Force.
Yeah, man, they really gave it to her in episode 8, though. The Mary Poppins scene just does not sit well with me.
Well, the Mary Poppins scene, but I'm talking about the training flashbacks are more meaningful than the Mary Poppins scene.
I agree.
Because that's her training with Luke, and I thought that was, very important. So that part I'm fine with. The Mary Poppins scene I could do without. But that's a whole other episode. Yeah, no, then we're not going to get into the Holdo maneuver and the scientific. Don't start me. I will go off on a tangent.
Sorry.
But yeah, no, I think it's important for Obi-Wan to be that figure to her and for him to be in her memory, because now when stuff goes south in episode 4, help us, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're our only hope, makes a lot more sense. Other than Bale being like, well, there's this old guy I know on Tatooine that could probably help.
Also, now, when Luke opens the door and says, "I'm here with Ben Kenobi," and when she's like, "Ben Kenobi," Like, I mean, and so now, in the storytelling that we've filled it all up, like that level of excitement. She's like, "Oh my God, he's here. I
Yeah.
haven't seen him in 10 years."
Yep. Yep. So it really ties it all together and makes it more. And it left room open if they did want us to do a second series, for other adventures to happen. Maybe he doesn't see Leia during those adventures and he's off doing other stuff.
I I have to say, I don't think we're gonna get another season.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
the way that this all ended, even though we didn't get to see like the trials and we didn't get to see like the really like the stuff that you and I would like really love, the overall generic Star Wars fan doesn't really care. I don't think. I don't think they care about those minute details.
No,
We understand that it happens. Like seeing Qui-Gon gives us the closure that we need to go, okay, he's on his path. We know that this is where it goes to get to the end.
I thought it was funny too. We got the Emperor as well.
Oh,
And
that was so good.
it was Ian McDermott. And the best part was like he basically was saying, like, your feelings are betraying you, Lord Vader. And then Vader like sucked it up and was like, and then that pan out was just fantastic.
Okay, let's talk about this. I think we're gonna get a Vader show.
I hope so.
I think the way that scene ends is them hinting at a Vader show, because when he goes and says like, "I only serve you, Master," that was bullshit. He's lying
Oh,
to
of
his
course.
face 100% because of the Vader comics. And so like I think it would be silly for them not to capture all of Vader's crazy adventures. He does all this nutty stuff. Why not showcase it? The lightsaber action in this episode alone was phenomenal. Give us
Well, we
more
got
of that. Give us the dark, gritty lightsaber just cutting through stuff and being pissed off Vader. I want that.
we got the YouTube lightsaber fight that you predicted
Uh-huh. Oh
between
my
the two of
God.
them.
It was so good.
It was so phenomenal, and Obi-Wan getting his full strength back and just teaching Anakin a damn lesson again. Oh boy, I don't think have we ever seen Vader humbled like that outside of the Emperor in Episode 6 in any form of media
Getting his limbs chopped off as Anakin, but that was
as
about it.
Anakin.
Yeah, but Vader actually getting his ass kicked like that.
I don't think we've
Um,
ever seen that
I mean,
outside
like,
of
yeah, I mean, Ahsoka caught him in the face, but that wasn't really anything.
no,
We
Obi-Wan
do
beat
need
him a
we
lot
do need to talk about that though.
because
Um,
that's what I said was going to happen was
yeah,
we're going to get that.
but there's a detail though that I think is really really interesting that I've
But
noticed. There's a couple pictures, but as far as like combat goes, no, and that leads into the line of the last time that we were together, I was but the learner,
and he
or I
even
was the Padawan. So
calls
it's like,
him master when he buries him.
and so like he still doesn't see him as superior to Obi-Wan.
Yep.
The whole going Super Saiyan, I didn't think that I didn't think I needed that, but that was really really cool to see him lead into his emotions, because that's what it was. It wasn't him. It wasn't him like powering up. It was him tapping it more into the emotional side. Like he was kind of, I don't want to say he was going towards, like, I guess he was leaning more into his passion. I guess more of those, like those qualities that makes Obi-Wan who he is.
He was
And so
probably
that
like,
was really cool.
I should have listened to Master Windu a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's not like he was going to the dark side, but like he was leaning into those things that Jedi, you always say, are bad. Like to love and to have passion, to all those things, or attachment. And so it's like he is attached to the children because he understands. Even when he looks at Luke at the end, he's like, he needs to be a boy. Like that's him going against what he thought was the right thing to do in the beginning. And I think he started to understand, like, look at how it was with Satine, right? The ability to love something, to care for something again. Once Satine died and he lost Anakin, what was the point? And once he leaned back into his emotions, it seemed like that is what he needed to go to the next level.
Um, one point going back to Luke, you got to give props to Beru because she was probably, if not more fierce than Uncle Owen. Like, she fought tooth and nail to protect him too. So, and she's not even related. Like, we know Owen's the step brother of Anakin. Beru married into this, and she's
Yeah.
still like, she's taking it very seriously and understands her charge. So, props to Beru because she fought like hell too to protect him.
She felt like, to me, she had a little bit of military training. I was like, who the hell is this woman?
Yeah,
She was
no.
like we have to take position. She'll come at night. You know, I was like, oh, okay,
I'm
this
like,
she has military training. This is
I'm like,
interesting.
that's the same lady, Luke.
Yeah, right. She's just cooking away. She's like, everything's fine.
Yeah, no, she's a badass. She probably keeps
Does,
a freaking blaster on her hip at all times now.
does that make their death scene in episode 4? Do you think they kind of fought their way out a little bit, or at least tried to fight their way out?
I'm sure. No, I'm sure the
Like,
stormtroopers. It wasn't easy.
right, exactly. So that's my thought too. Is like, okay, it wasn't just some slaughter. Like in my head now, we don't see it, but they fought tooth and nail until the very end.
No, that was an awesome part of the
Yeah.
show. And I kept going like, how the hell are they going to get out of this? Obi-Wan's not even on the planet, you know? But Reva's better nature took over because she didn't want to commit the same exact act that she was getting revenge for.
Yeah,
Um,
that was interesting, and so it kind of plays into those rumors. I feel like that we had talked about a few weeks ago that she was supposed to die, but instead they allowed her character to live on so that she can be a part of something else going forward, and I can see that. I mean, like she's definitely making a lot of waves within the industry. I think she's a very strong female character. And she's gone through a lot recently with all the racist comments, which is absolutely terrible. And so I think good for her if she does actually get a more lead role in a following show, or at least gets to be a part of another show
I mean,
going forward. Because
she could show up in Bad Batch. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of room for her now. The same as like we do have rumors of a apparently a Jedi Fallen Order show showing up. A Kyle Kestis could be getting his own TV show. This started rumor. I saw that rumor going yesterday.
mhm.
Who's the actor?
Cameron Monaghan.
Yeah, so he just apparently signed on for a live action Kyle Kestis show. And we know that this is right around the exact same time as Obi-Wan. We know Jedi Fallen Order 2 or Jedi Survivor is 5 years after the first one, which puts you right up against Obi-Wan. So for Reva to show up in Survivor, or to show up in the live action show with him now makes a lot of sense. Also, Roken 100% is going to be showing up in the Cassian Andor show.
Yep, I was just about to say that. They set Roken up for Andor like it was like a softball underhand. Like, here you go. You'll see
he just
him in a
goes,
few
I'm
months."
just getting started. It was like he's going to be in the first freaking episode of Andor at this point.
Yep, I guarantee you he's going to be talking to Cassian very early on in that show.
I love his character, by the way. He's fantastic.
I love his character because he's flawed in a good way. He
Very
is
much
not
so
absolutely like gung-ho, like, yeah, the rebellion against the Empire. He's scared because he understands the ramifications of what being a rebel means. And that is what I think we're going to see more of that in Andor too, is like, we've always been this like, yeah, screw the Empire. Everyone thinks of World War II and the people that fought against the Nazis in Europe. No, it was like underground networks and people were very terrified. Like, it's not this like open, like, yeah, let's fight against the Nazis. Like, no, it was not. It was very terrifying for those people. So I think, and we glorify it, what is it? Quarterback, couch quarterback from years later. Like, oh, yeah,
sure,
look at these heroes, Like when you're there and in it, like it's absolutely terrible. Even Obi-Wan said he was scared on the ship to Leia.
But he knew there was something that he had to do.
So I think characters like Roken being real are important, and I like that Star Wars is getting into things like the mental health issues that have developed from what we've seen in the past, and they're getting into things like the rebellion was not this like rah, let's go get the Empire. It was like coordinated, subversive, guerrilla warfare, terrorism, as they called it in The Mandalorian, if from the Empire's perspective. So Roken represents all of that to me, and that's why I'm excited to see where his character goes. He could show up in Bad Batch again. He's another one. He can show up in Andor. There's plenty of opportunities for Roken to, be that person as part of the rebellion. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, 100%. Like overall, like this episode for me was just the perfect way to. It was like the bow, it was just like it was the perfect way to package it all up and just be like, nope, there you go. This is how we fix a lot of. I don't want to say fix, and I was thinking about this as I was getting ready this morning. I don't want to say that Lucas did a poor job at giving us the initial story for Star Wars. I think by accident he told it in a disjointed way so that more stories could be told later on. And if he like or if he truly designed it that way, then this man's a genius. If he
He didn't.
designed it in a way, yeah, I don't think he did this on purpose, but it ended up working out for him really, really well. He didn't give a lot of backstory to these really interesting characters that just show up and you're like, oh, they're fun, and then now they're gone. And now, so many years later, we are able to get those backstories that we've always wanted that helps really give you the completed picture. And we've said this time and time again. Star Wars is a disjointed story and it's really hard to follow along.
Do you have
And
the
unless
comic of the original story?
of
The original idea.
no, I don't.
I gotta buy that for you. I'll get it for your birthday.
Okay.
It's really cool. It changes how you see it. It goes in line with what you're talking about with Lucas. Like, this was not his original vision. Like, Zeb is based off of the original sketches for Chewie.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. Zeb looks like Chewie looks in, some of the original sketches, and some of the Jabba was supposed to be a human.
He was, yeah, well, he was a human in episode 4.
Anakin was supposed to be the hero of the story. The Jedi Knights were supposed to be way more like samurai. There was no Sith, all of this stuff. So he definitely stumbled ass up into all of this. And he said, I've heard him in interviews say, like, I never could have imagined it becoming this. And I
Yeah.
think now, and even me, when I, sit down and I get creative with, some of the storytelling we're working on here, I think about world building because that's the future of media. That's where it's going. Everyone is buying these IPs. Netflix bought the Narnia IP. Amazon owns Lord of the Rings. Disney owns Star Wars and Marvel, and probably DC soon.
Ooh.
So
I mean, yay. I'm so
I'm
hopeful for
fine with
DC
it.
if that actually happens because that means that DC Universe will finally get the treatment it deserves.
Yeah, because then Kevin Feige can just be the head of superhero storytelling instead of
Forever.
Marvel. Yeah, and I'd prefer that to like psychopath Flash stealing 12-year-olds. Yeah, no, no, just get the guy from the TV show to play Flash. We'll be good. That's the future of storytelling, and I don't think in 1970 whatever, when George started working on this,
Yeah.
that this in 2022 that people have podcasts, fan conventions. They still care. Think about that for him. Like, even though he sold it and he got rid of it, you don't think he sits there and he's like critiques every little thing? Like, I wouldn't have done it that way. Maybe I would have. Him on the set of Mandalorian, we showed the pictures when we covered it of holding Grogu.
Yeah.
It's like the beginning and where we are now meeting together. So, even though he's not involved, I'm sure he's really happy where it did go, but this was never his intention from day one for it to get where it got today.
But it's just it's so cool that now we get to experience it in the entirety that I feel like it was intended. Or at least it like now it feels like this was the intended way for me. Like now I'm just like, oh, this is cool. And before I used to hate it. Before I used to hate the whole idea of like, well, I've got to go read a book, or now I've got to go get a comic, or now I've got to go, watch this or read up on this on the internet. But it's just it just goes to show, at least for me, that I have come to, and maybe just because I'm getting older, I really enjoy these small segmented stories that we get to these characters that we've come to know and love over so many years.
That's the cover of the graphic novel. I'm gonna get it for you for your birthday.
Vic.
So the we've talked about it before, but the storytelling is going to continue through Disney Plus. Like, movies will be few and far between now,
And
because
I'm happy about that.
I'm totally fine with that, because they can't do the Marvel thing. The Marvel thing is movie, TV show, and it works very well for Marvel. But Marvel is not Star Wars. And when Disney bought Star Wars, they assumed that they could do the same exact thing and it would just print them money. But now they have finally learned we need to tell these stories in a much different way. And the world reacts very well to live action Disney Plus being the home for storytelling, the animated stuff being where the real geeks can get their lore dumps and all of that fun stuff.
Yeah.
And then the comics and the books are like where the deep divers are going to go to
Right.
get their fix. And then the movies will just be tent poles for more storytelling. That's how this is going to work going forward. Like you're going to get at some point you will get a Revan movie, probably in the 2030s would be my guess, or the end of this decade. You'll get Revan movies, but all of the storytelling that will come out of that will then go to Disney Plus and go, animated
Yeah.
regular. Like they don't want. I understand the cadence now, and I understand why we haven't gotten a Revan movie or anything like that because they're still telling the Skywalker saga, and they still want to fill in the blanks. I know that years ago we were like, "This is the goodbye to the Skywalker saga." It really wasn't. It's now we're going to fill in the blanks
Well, it
along
was
the
a
way.
goodbye to the cinematic. It was the
Yeah,
cinema. The movie experience of the Skywalker saga is dead. But now we get these awesome stories in a much longer format. We're getting essentially, oh my god, like what, like 5 movies essentially for one character, 4 movies
yeah.
when you like compile all of the time together.
Yep.
So it's just like, honestly, if we get a Star Wars movie anytime soon, I won't be happy about it because I've just come to really enjoy these segmented episodes. It's just like it just feels really good
That's because
when
you and
it's
I'll have to rent a theater to get the full experience that we want.
I guess so. It's just like it just I guess for me, I really like character development. And that's why it's always frustrating when people bitch about like the first movie of a trilogy. It's like, no, the first movie is it's gonna be drawn out, it's gonna be boring at times because you have to come to understand the character. You need time to feel compassion and you need time to connect with that character. And so it like these episodes, like filler episodes, are great ways of having a lot of fun and also getting connected to the character without feeling like you got cheated. Because you're like, okay, this episode out of the entire series wasn't great, but the entire series was fun as a whole. And for a lot of people, when they go and watch a movie, they're like, this movie sucked ass. I'm like, why? It's because it was boring. Well, what was boring about it? They talked too much. Well, why are they talking? Well, we were learning about the character and you hated that. Like that for me is so frustrating. And so that's why with these Star Wars stories, because they're so intricate, because they're so deep, because there's things like movies and comic books, I really feel like this is how you get the full Star Wars experiences through this type of storytelling. And so to kind of bring this subject to full circle, I don't want another Star Wars movie. I really don't. Like I
I'm fine
have
with it.
no want for a Star Wars movie.
And if they do a movie, I'd want it to go to Disney Plus, not to
I don't want it
theaters.
in theater. Yeah, it just this doesn't feel like it's getting the Hollywood treatment.
The
It's
last the last Star Wars movie that I saw in a theater, I don't think you saw Rogue One with us. Did you?
no.
That was the last one that I was like, I got that cinematic experience that made me feel like a kid seeing, Phantom Menace
I would
and
have to
Attack of the
agree with you.
Clones.
Rogue One was but
That
I
was the
liked
last one.
Rogue One because Rogue One was a completely different style of Star Wars storytelling. It was dark, it was adult, it felt like it was meant for adults the entire way through. It didn't feel like the cartooniness of the prequels. It felt unique and different. And I think that's why we felt so different about that compared to like Solo or even like episode 9. So,
Well, it was all new characters too. We didn't know
right.
any of them, and that's what Taika Waititi's movie is going to be. He's like, I actually have the quote right here. He said, "I don't think I'm any use in the Star Wars universe making a film where everyone's like, oh, cool, that's Chewie's grandmother. I would like to make something new. I would like to take something new, create some new characters, and just expand the world even further.
See, now that
That's
to
what we
me
need
that's cool because
for
then
movies.
from that movie then stems more shows.
That's what I mean about the tent
You're
poles.
right.
The movies are
Exactly.
now going to be the tent poles, and then the storytelling will surround those movies, and then it will make the movie more meaningful. To your point too about folks when you begin a trilogy and they're like start complaining about story and stuff. That's the one thing I fear with the new Game of Thrones show and Rings of Power coming
Sure.
out
Yeah.
is that these shows are going to be multiple seasons. And Game of Thrones right off the bat is going to get judged off of its last season, even though it's years in the past and has nothing to do with that. It's
Sure.
different directors and different showrunners, but people immediately are going to be like, "Oh,
Ah.
I
Mhm.
don't have an order." And then Rings of Power, that's a whole other can of worms, but it's going to be the same thing.
Where's
And
Frodo?
but the thing with Rings of Power too is, and this comes back to Star Wars, is there's so many new characters that you have to meet in Rings of Power.
Yeah.
so many new ones because Tolkien just like he's like, here's new character that I am introducing you to.
Yeah.
Not going to give you much backstory, but if you read this encyclopedia of Middle Earth, you will get all
Right.
the information you need.
And the
And that's
Silmarillion is rough.
right, but that and it goes hand in hand with Star Wars on a Star Wars I would say is a more general level, but like you said with Vader, the Vader show now makes sense because now people that have not consumed any other media have seen a side of Vader that they've never seen before. And they're like, "Oh my god, he's a badass." And now we'll talk about the helmet scene in 1 second. Now that you've seen that,
Yeah.
that takes it even further because now a Vader show makes sense because now we can tell the stories they can take from the YouTube fan video where he goes and visits Padme's tomb on Naboo. You know, you could take from the comics where he's meeting Dr. Aphra and hunting for Sith relics and all of this stuff and traveling around and on his own agenda and his own
Yeah.
business. Because now, like you said, what he said to the Emperor was absolute
Oh, so much
horseshit and a
bullshit,
half.
dude. Oh my
And
god, he was
if you
lying
don't
to him
think
the
the
whole
Emperor
time.
knows that too, like, please, the
The
Emperor knows he's
Emperor, what's
bullshitting
so
him.
cool about the Emperor right now is that he's doubting everyone. He thinks
Everyone.
everyone is against him. He's going through the same thing that you see in history time and time again with these crazy leaders and dictators, and at some point the power goes to their head and they have they think that they're going to have power struggles amongst their ranks. It's nuts, and so it's perfect. It's just great
Yep.
storytelling.
So, the helmet scene,
Oh god,
it
Kevin.
happened exactly like I said it would. Once he started throwing the rocks, I was like, the mask's gonna come down
I
off something. So
So, did you notice what side of the mask got cut off?
it would be the left side of his face.
Okay. Do you know what side of his mask got cut off when he fought Ahsoka?
No, I didn't look at that.
Okay.
Is it
So
the right?
in this fight, the left side gets cut off.
Okay.
In the Ahsoka fight, the
So right
right
side.
side gets cut.
Okay.
What happens when Anakin and Luke say goodbye?
The whole thing's off.
Entire mask is off.
Ah, I see what you're
What
saying.
what what did Obi-Wan and Ahsoka both try to do that they couldn't do?
Turn him back.
What did Luke do?
Turned him back.
That's when he was Anakin again.
I agreed.
So
Agreed.
both so I think it's a little bit deeper when it kind of goes back to your whole like the eye changing and whatnot. They weren't able to do that in this. They just
They used
because
lighting.
he wasn't fully changed, right? He wasn't at that point that Ahsoka sees him. So I think what happened there is you still get that full Anakin when he sees him, he's Anakin, and that whole apology. I lost it, dude. I cried when he apologized
Oh, that
and
was
just
rough.
Ewan's face captured it all. Again, Ewan has done a phenomenal job of just capturing emotion with his face, and that is just the signs of a phenomenal actor. And so like that entire apology it hurt because at the end Anakin was gone when he said, and so that entire sequence makes so much more sense, and it's not Ben talking in riddles, it's Ben talking like he's saying what Anakin told him. Anakin's dead. I killed him. When Ben is talking to Luke in his house and says that he killed your father, he's right. He did, because that's what Anakin told him on that at that meeting. And so it's just like, again, it just full circles back into it. And we are all like, oh, Ben just talks in riddles. No, Ben, he wasn't talking in riddles. He was talking from someone who's still facing or going through the emotions of losing someone.
Yep.
And so, Vader killed Anakin.
Yep.
So I thought that was really cool. I saw that picture comparison. Someone had put like the right and left, and I was like, oh shit, that. And then you think about it, the helmet's completely gone when Luke turns him back and he's Anakin once more. So
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really cool.
I liked how they played with the lighting because you can't really do the eye color IRL and make it as
Oh, but
noticeable as
his
you can in
eyes were
animation.
amber. It was
Oh
really
no,
cool.
you saw the amber, but they couldn't do
Uh-huh.
the color switching like they
Yeah,
do
yeah,
with
yeah, yeah.
Ahsoka. So I
I
really
also
like
think that he wasn't Anakin then. When Anakin saw Ahsoka, it was a completely different experience than when Anakin saw Obi-Wan
yeah.
with the mask off. I think with Ahsoka, it was more so that whole he got it from the other point of view. It was him, the master, to his apprentice, whereas he is the apprentice to his master. And so it's again, it's that whole like
He
it's
also
that father and son kind of thing where he's so pissed off at him, and he can't see anything but him. And when he saw Ahsoka, he experienced all those connections, the love and
His
compassion and
weakness
whatnot. Yeah, exactly. He was Anakin
in
again.
his mind.
He gave back into the light for that quick second.
Right, because with Obi-Wan, and he did say, you didn't kill Anakin, I
Yeah,
did.
I did. Oh, that was so good.
But with Obi-Wan, that's the reason he's in the suit in his mind. Whether it's true or not, that's a whole other debate. But with Ahsoka, that's your Padawan. You were
Yep.
responsible for her. So on
Mhm.
one side, he can say Obi-Wan was responsible for me, but on the other side, he was responsible for her.
Yeah, that
So
was Snips.
so I'm sure it hurt more with Ahsoka than the anger he had for Obi-Wan.
Oh, for sure.
And then obviously Luke is his son, so that's gonna
Yeah.
be a whole other can of worms. So it was interesting the way they did the lighting, and I think they did it well with what he was saying and when his lightsaber was on and off, and how they shaded his face or colored his face with the lighting. So that was a good way to do it. And have it make sense. I thought it was amazing that Obi-Wan literally kicked his ass again.
It was
And they
good.
even did the high ground nod when he buried him because Anakin was standing up there. Like I thought they were gonna make a high ground comment.
Yeah, now I have the high ground.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
waiting
that
for
would have been
something like
really
that.
good.
But they just did nods constantly with that. Hello there, the Emperor, Qui-Gon. So yeah. And it was also, yes, Paul just brought up that he did do his traditional lightsaber stance
Yeah,
with
he did
the
the 2 fingers out and everything.
yep.
It was really good, and it was cool when he went Super Saiyan. Even like there was several moves that you saw him use in episode 3, like the spin behind the back, and even just the elegance of the fight was just so Obi-Wan, and like it was very, very fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, at one point I thought he had him because he used the force to like hold his lightsaber in place, and then Obi-Wan did that thing behind the back, spun and
Mhm.
they crossed again. I was like, oh, this is a good one. Again,
It really
it
Go
didn't
ahead.
take the cake for me. It's not number one, but
No, it
it's
definitely
top five.
isn't. It is very good. A Vader fight will never be elegant because of just the way that he is, the way that he has to fight because of the way it was dictated in the original trilogy. You have to hold true to the way he fights, like Luke in Episode 6. Like, it's a lot of heavy strikes. It's not pretty. You're not going to get flips like you do with Maul or Ahsoka. And so in a live action, especially with these older gentlemen as they are. You also have to add into the fact of, it needs to feel believable for when they go into fighting in episode 4, right? Like episode 4 is just two guys just kind of just like tapping at each other because the theory is they're playing mind games at that point. So like that's the thing is like I think they handled that fight in a way where it was very sexy, it was very attractive, it was like it was really fun to watch, but it still held true to that style that kind of carries across into when we see them fight again in episode 4.
Finn really liked the episode, Tim.
Oh, FN2187.
This is my puppy. His name is Finn, FN2187. Tim is the only one that calls him by his FN code every time he walks in my house.
Mhm.
Everyone else calls him Finn. Tim
I
calls him
have to
FN.
address him by his imperial name.
So this is Finn. He's my Star Wars dog. But and it's because he looks like a stormtrooper. If you can't tell, he's black
Yep.
and white for you audio listeners. So where does this series stand for you in all of the Disney Plus series that we have now? Like, is it your favorite? Is it just up there? I don't like rating things, but
Yeah,
this one was special.
this one's different. It's not Mando, it's not Boba Fett. This was a very special series. Um, for me, this is essentially a movie. We got an Obi-Wan movie, and so I will hold this up there as probably one of the best pieces of Star Wars content that we have ever received. It's just it was perfect. I tweeted about it. I said that the Obi-Wan finale in of itself is a masterpiece. Deborah Chow can direct any piece of Star Wars content and just make it amazing. In my opinion, I loved every episode that she's ever done for Mando. And for her to take on something so big as Obi-Wan and give it the treatment that it deserved. It's like Star Wars isn't a religion, but it has a lot of passionate people that love it to death. And so I think that she and Dave Filoni just came in and and gave it the reverence it deserved. And I love it. Like honestly, this will be something that I will add into my Star Wars watch. Like when I want to watch the entire Star Wars story, there are like I could skip over like Clone Wars, I could skip through a lot of Rebels, but Obi-Wan will always be something that I will add into the lineup because this is just it's a perfect story and it's just like when Rogue One ended and it's the scene from episode 4 and we're just like, "Oh, they did it." It's a perfect drop off into the movie. This is a perfect drop off into episode 4 as well. This is just another piece of Star Wars storytelling that is just a must for Star Wars fans.
Agreed. And now we have Andor to look forward to, but we don't have to wait like 7 months. Like it's
Yeah, dude, it's
literally
like 2
around the
months away.
corner. It's 2 months away.
Yeah. I
Dude,
it, but are so
Andor, follow me here.
Mhm.
Andor is Friday. I think it comes out on a Friday.
Sure.
Game of Thrones comes out that Sunday.
We're not doing spoiler cast for Game of Thrones.
No, I'm
Okay, just
talking
wanna make
about
sure.
for my pure enjoyment.
Got it. Okay.
Ring of Power is literally a week and a half after that.
And Kevin, you might have to go see a doctor if your
I'm
nerd
gonna
boner
have a
lasts more than a week.
nerdgasm, Tim. It's gonna
Yeah.
be serious.
Yeah.
If it lasts for more than 4 hours, it could be a problem.
The one thing that I'm worried about with Andor is that Obi-Wan has set the bar so high. What happens next? Like
New
they have the
characters, I don't wanna say new, not characters that we don't have much story about do way better when they first launch.
sure.
Mandalorian is proof of that. People want stories that don't include people we know.
Yeah, so we'll
They're
get
actually
Haja.
right,
He's
we're
gonna come
starved
back.
for it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what people want. They want more Star Wars, but they don't want it to be surrounded by Luke Skywalker. Obi-Wan was the exception because Vader was
Because
in it.
but everyone loves Obi-Wan. Like he is like and a lot of people who grew up watching the Clone Wars, like and that's a big reason of it is that Obi-Wan's character became this icon, this icon that people fell in love with because of Clone Wars. Because he's just like his character in that is just phenomenal. And they were able to carry that across into live action.
I I think Andor is gonna do well. It won't do what Obi-Wan just did. I mean, like, you have star power there and nostalgia and all things that Andor could never even do. So I think that the sell is that it's going to be a bunch of new characters in a familiar location in a situation we know, but a story we've never heard before.
Yeah.
Again, it's going back to what I said earlier in the episode about the rebellion. Like these heroes are glorified from World War II because, in case you didn't notice, a lot of the inspiration for Star Wars, the Empire, and everything stems from what was happening in Europe during World War II. So you have this, but we've never seen the nitty gritty. We've
Yeah.
never seen how ugly it got. And Cassian says in Rogue One, "I've had to do terrible things."
Yeah.
We are going to see the terrible things that he did, to save people. And again, it goes back to what the First Order, is it First Order yet? No, they're not First Order yet. The Imperial officer says to them in the ship in Mandalorian when he calls them a bunch of terrorists. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to see that play out
Sure.
in Andor, and that's what I'm excited for, because it's going to be that whole side of Star Wars that we know what happens, we know how it ends, but we've never seen the story play out, and that is, I think, going to be the hook for people in the way
Sure.
that Mandalorian hooked him, where it has nothing to do with the Force, it has nothing to do with lightsabers. It's going to be about crushing fascism, which is a hot topic right now. And
Yeah.
that's what everyone's going to be all about. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. And I think it's going to do very well personally.
So I think we'll definitely see Haja and Roken again in Cassian. I think that's where we'll see them is in Andor.
I could see that.
I
I could see
really
them
I like it
Fallen
also like
Order.
I mean Hodge's character, I mean like he's fantastic. And we really only got to see him for like what, like 2 episodes? So like,
we got to see him like play out as Kamal Nanjiani, as an actor. We got to enjoy him for one episode. The rest, it was kind of just
yeah.
him paying penance for what he had done.
I'm also
But
ready for him to like take off his robe. That guy is swole. He's ripped. Did you see how what he looked like for Immortals?
he
Oh
got
my
he got
god.
ripped for that
He was
movie.
okay. Just real quick sidetrack. His workout or his diet was phenomenal. They put him on a dirty bulk, so all he had to do, he could eat whatever he wanted. They had to make sure that he got 40 grams of protein every meal. So he just ate trash and also had protein. So he got really fat and then cut. And this guy just turned into a freaking monster. It was just the transformation was wild. So I think
He hated it.
yeah, he said it was terrible, but a bulked out Haja would be awesome in Andor.
He has a podcast with his wife. I've listened to it for
Oh,
years.
really? That's
Yeah.
cool.
I think he just changed to a new one during pandemic. They called it "Staying In" with Emily and Camille. But uh, yeah, they've had podcasts together for years, and I've listened to it. But yeah, he hated getting ripped for that role.
Said
As many
eating was
people
fun
do.
though. He said getting fat was okay.
I mean, yeah, I'm working on that now. I'm cultivating mass.
Nice, dude. Excited for your
Um,
bulk.
yeah, man, I've actually eaten really well, and it's the only reason I haven't gotten fat during all of it. But yeah, I mean, Andor, I think is going to be a huge hit. I think my only worry is what's happening to Miss Marvel now. Does Andor get buried by Rings of Power like halfway through?
I don't think so.
We'll see.
I think the Star Wars fandom is like we always say it's a Venn diagram. Like, yes, it does intersect with a lot of other shows that are going on right now, but Star Wars fans are pretty damn loyal. And I think a lot of people will connect with Andor because they saw Rogue One. So I think it's gonna be fine. I think Miss Marvel isn't doing hot because it's not a primary Marvel character. We've seen that like only the primary characters that we saw on the big screen are doing well. All of these ancillary characters are they're not getting the love I feel like they deserve.
Moon
But at the
Knight
same
did very
time,
well.
Yeah, but a lot of people knew the actor. Like he was forget
Star
his
Wars,
name, but yeah,
Oscar Isaac.
he's Oscar Isaac was in Star Wars. He's in Dune. Like I think everyone was excited to watch Moon Knight because of him, and then they got hooked to the story.
I think Miss Marvel too. I haven't watched it yet because I'm still 3 shows behind. But I think Miss Marvel will play out. It's very similar in a Star Wars storytelling way. In the bigger picture, Kevin Feige announced yesterday that they're going to reveal the next big MCU arc. So whoever the new villain is going to be, it might be Kang, we don't know. And the storytelling that's going to take place over like 10, 15, 20 movies to culminate the same way that we did with Endgame. So we'll see what that's going to be like, and I think she'll probably play because that to me that's what they're doing. They're setting up the next crop of Avengers.
Well, sure. Yeah, like you have Kate in Hawkeye, and like I liked that because I thought he got it. I think they closed off his story really well.
And he was done being Hawkeye. Like
Yeah, and that was the whole point. It was I thought it was funny because like Amy and I went and watched it. We're like, this is great. Why did it get shit on? And it's just I think it was just timing. I think that's really what it came down to. And a lot of people just didn't care about that story. But to your point, I think they will care about that story once these people show up on the big screen.
oh, let me go back and watch Hawkeye again.
Exactly. Or let me go see
that-
Miss Marvel to see what Kamal is all about. So
and that's the beauty of streaming television is even with Star Wars now, be like, oh, you like the fight between Obi-Wan and Vader? You should go watch Rebels, so you can experience Ahsoka and Vader in the same manner. Especially not people know who Ahsoka is. That's another big thing.
yeah.
So it's exciting to see where we're headed. Bad Batch, hopefully before the end of the year as well. We haven't heard a date yet, I don't think, but that could be also the last bit of content that we get this year. Before Mando comes out in February, I think they said.
Yep. February of next year.
Yeah. So I mean, we got plenty of Star Wars coming, and new High Republic book. I'm still hanging out with Thrawn and Anakin looking for Padme.
Oh, geez, yeah, that gets really good. I want to I want to go and get the journals of Obi-Wan because I want to go through more of that because I feel like there's going to be some like especially like now that we've gotten to Qui-Gon, I want to know what happens next. And then I need to get caught up on Vader comics too. So like for me, those are the two things that I want to focus on while we're kind of like in this little Star Wars lull. And then I got to finish Ascendancy as well. And Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's so much Star Wars stuff to do.
Yeah, I tried reading another book and I was like, I don't have time. I got to go back to
Yeah.
Star Wars. So,
Hmm.
yeah, that's
I got some homework.
yeah, I want to do some more Vader comics after this as well. So maybe we'll touch on that next
But
week.
that's
But
what's
that's
so
it.
exciting. Like this episode for me has like reignited my want to go get caught up on that material because like there's so much story left to tell.
Yep, agreed. I mean, it's huge. And now I mean, like you said at the top of the show, now Reva's out there somewhere in
Yeah,
the
dude.
mix. So like there's like I don't want to say Inquisitor Civil War, but there's a rogue Inquisitor out there, and that makes things exciting for the Inquisitory. And we also don't know how the Inquisitory ends. That is one of my biggest questions in all of Star Wars. How did they just disappear at some point before A New Hope? So what happens? So I'm really
Yeah, like
interested.
why didn't they want to rebuild the program
Yeah,
during Rebels? Yeah, it's
does Vader
interesting.
get angry one day and just slaughter them all? Like, I don't know. We'll hopefully see at some point in the near future. But thank you for listening, watching Star Wars and Scotch. We appreciate you. We'll be back next week for episode 89, where I guess we're going to be talking about comics and books because that seems to be what Tim and I are going to be up to this week. I have my homework cut out for me with the Vader comics. I want to catch up on those. But you can check out Tim. He's Darkness429 everywhere on the internet. You can watch him stream on fb.gg/darkness429 Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. ish Eastern Standard Time. Everything I do is on raredrop.co. We are Star Wars and Scotch. You can follow us on Facebook or you can follow us on Twitter, Star Wars Scotch. You could go to Rare Drop Entertainment on YouTube and check out our show and all the other shows on our network. Broman Show, Comics has a lot to talk about lately too. At GCX, they revealed one of the new Star Wars comics. I believe it was a few panels. I was walking by. I couldn't really hear. I was
Look at
working.
us
Yeah,
getting Star Wars drops
we
at
got
GCX.
permission from Marvel. It was wild. So make sure you're listening to Matt and Frank over at Comics. And as always, we thank you. Make sure you get your summer swells. KingsCoastCoffee.com. Nitro Cold Brew is out right this second, meaning as soon as you hear my voice, go and get it because it will probably be gone if you wait.
Don't
You have a
wait.
great one. And as always, may the force be with you.
No, that's my line.